You know, there's a lot happening in the Hamptons this weekend. They have benefits. I think Bill and Hillary are in town. But this is the place, and this is the event, and this is the guy, Haim Mizrahi. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You're the best.
Haim is having a big show here at Ashwaugh Hall. And Haim, I don't know too much about stocks. I know less about bonds. But I know one thing, you are a great artist. I've had the opportunity over the years of seeing your work and your creativity, and if I might add, you're a little mashugana too.
Thank you.
And I think that adds to the, we're only feet away from Jackson Pollock.
And my studio is right here, 3 houses down, so there is a...
I'm putting my money on you. If you own a Haim Mizrahi, you've got something, and you've got a great artist. But there's something really exciting going on. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, first of all, to see you, I'm very happy. I'm your brother. It's all about good energy, any which way you look at it. This show is just one more in the pattern of steady as she goes, motion forward, and asking less questions and choosing a lot of shortcuts and really utilizing a technique through which we're just becoming efficient, and on the behalf of that becoming prolific. And that's what I believe, because the soul of the artist is there. So there's nothing to worry about all these questions whether we are or we are not. All there's left to do is to really give out of yourself. And as you know, public access, and they will all showing the proximity to your head end.
That's right.
Every morning I see
share space.
The nerve ends of your station.
But I never come in at 7 in the morning as you do.
I know, but there's a lot to be said about that. The reality there that's been translated. If you're a person like me, I like to implement and translate and take from the medium of music and poetry, and why not? Without making a big deal out of it, without making a point. And making a point is actually in the exhibition, which you're going to see, and that speaks for itself.
Well, let's go in and let's take a look. I'm very excited because you said something. Creatively, you always come up with something new, that inspiration.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited to see where Haim's mind is at right now.
There's not one piece that you've seen in the past, I can assure you that much.
All right, let's go in.
This is the entryway to the gallery. And it's like you see, very light presentation to go into the kind of the heart of the beef, when it's medium rare. And it's not only red, it's juicy also.
It is, but these pieces all have a certain theme.
I have about 7 pieces that speak just for a brief motion, and again you see that there's a lot of simplicity to them. There's a pattern, but it's charged with feelings, and I left it at that without arguing too much about it.
Well, this is called sweet accommodation.
Yes. Even though it's really, the riding mode, so to speak, but I come from the back door here.
Amazing.
So I kind of started it and let it be, and then when it was over,
Interesting. So there are 7 paintings of this style,
Yes.
and once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, it was done. I just kind of said, I feel good.
And as an artist, that point of knowing when it's done.
Well, I'm at a point where I feel that it's done, and it kind of, knowing when it was done led me to feeling, so you don't kind of have to involve too much head in it and say, okay, my body is telling me that I can, relax my arms right now, so that means it's okay. The canvas is making me just let go with my arms, that means I'm done, kind of.
Excellent. So now we're going to walk inside to the main gallery. Oh, this is amazing.
So, there's a variety. Obviously, there's not one style, and you can kind of see some. I want to believe that people will see honesty here, because there's not really a pattern to follow other than the fact that, you do it, and that's what comes out. You don't think about, I belong to this movement or that movement, this direction or that direction. So there's a lot to be said about that, and I'm happy because despite the variety, there's still a leading feel to it,
But Haim, to mount a show like this with the intensity of this art, how long did it take for you to create these pieces, and when do you do this?
Well, I'd say about 4 months, in addition to working on other pieces. But I work on 3 different studios at the same time, so what happens is that I really accumulate a lot of work regardless to what show is coming up. And then I kind of realize, okay, this looks like it's a show, and for example, I have a show that's ready for next Easter, a show that's ready for Jerusalem for January, I don't plan it this way. I just work so much, and then I like the idea that I have a lot of new work that's waiting to be exhibited. Just waiting there, you know, instead of saying I don't have enough, I need to do this. It's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling, and to see art that is so unique, and it's an expression that I haven't seen before.
Well,
and it's not an
you.
imitation of anyone, it's an original.
Yes, yes, definitely. And then again, that's the feeling comfortable with the, I'm a house painter, so I bring a lot of knowledge of paint and composition. I see color naturally. And so there's a lot of guts as a house painter, really saying, I'm not intimidated by a 10,000 square foot house. Why should I be intimidated by a small canvas in front of me that actually wants to make friends with me, So I submit, I succumb, even though it sounds like cliche to submit, to succumb, but I do.
And Haim, you're an artist, you're a musician, you're a poet. Politically, you're an active person because you have a commitment to an opinion. You come from a land where you can't just sit on the fence because those fences are
hot,
hot.
And thorny.
And you bring that intensity to your art. You bring that passion, but above all, you bring a love of life because you love what you're doing.
Definitely, and I love people. I love you. I definitely love your brother.
Well,
even though he drives me nuts, but he's as good as they come, really. But going back to how it influences, it's already within the package delivered. The only thing really, and again, I don't want to sound like a preacher, but it's really all about, listen, so much is already existing. Redirect that energy that otherwise you would ask yourself, what, how, why, unnecessary questions, directly to the creative process. All this energy that we lose in the process of wandering for no reason, there's only that much we can do as far as that is concerned.
Could you show me which of these paintings was the most difficult for you to do, which was really a torture for you to do? Come on, let's pick one and let's have Greg follow us. Haim, what are we looking at?
Well, you asked about the piece that gave me the most, well, not difficulty, time-consuming and all this. This piece is really as close as possible to doing something that in this case have to be like in a minimalized landscape. So difficult to understand when it's done, so difficult to make random choices but have it be the way you want it to be, even though the decision is random. But the end result is really, what you see here is really exactly as I wanted it to be. There was no like, oops, a drop here, it shouldn't have been there. Everything that you see here was really intentional, and it was so demanding. This reality was so demanding. Like, why this exactly? Why? Why this? And really all these, even the angle and the treatment that the rope got and the whole thing, it's very, very demanding, to live in peace with something that's like hardly anything.
And you titled it, Don't Tell Me You Weren't There. That conjures
It doesn't make sense, doesn't it?
Wow. To me, it makes sense. Anyone who's ever been involved in a relationship.
But when I mean there, I don't mean there, a vague there. I mean a place in a certain time. I was, you remember that concert at the Talk House, the 23rd? Were you there? Can't believe you weren't there. That kind of there, I mean. Not there that belongs to most of us,
So this is a memorable work for Haim Mizrahi.
Yes, and if I can do more of that, I think I'll be a winner. But
look at that one in the corner. I gotta bring you there. Let's.
This is the house painter
Oh, wow.
in me. This is the house painter in me, and when I see rollers, I feel good. I feel at ease with myself.
See, this is the difference between an artist and the rest of us. I've seen rollers like that, but you see something out of that,
yes.
Some power, and the way you've tied this together.
You see, if you're not afraid of the crowdedness, like, as opposed to the other painting, you know how difficult it is to be obsessive when you test it on the surface. You know, now every time I see that I could have gone so much further, but once you try and go further, you realize there's a dead end there. And what are you going to do? So it's a challenge. You have to kind of look further and look further, and you miss something. Okay, so you can take it further, but it's not like evident as once you hold the brush and the choice of colors and all this. And plus, to think I'm going to end something, to think I'm going to start something is very demanding. It's very tricky.
Well, that is the point of start and finish and the whole creative process.
Yes, and the most important is if you know what you want to come out, meaning that really everything will be intentional. You say, you know what, this is a reflection of an accurate desire that I had, that it really found itself on the canvas. Really, a replica that you're responsible for. It's very, very demanding. I think that's the breakthrough that I would like to find myself in, that I will be responsible for a reflection that exists in my head and I'm managing to translate it. To just literally take it from the head and say, oh, this is here, so I'm going to put it there, I'm going to put it there, but so for it to be accurate with that. Because you try and do that and then you look at it and say, no, that's not what, that's a little off.
But it's all about eliciting a reaction, a feeling. And your work creates a feeling. I know there are some people who react violently to some of what you do. And we've had art shows at LTV and they say, oh, look at that, and it brings out outrage.
Yeah.
Some people bring about peace and
Yes.
and your works have been called very erotic, drawing people in. And that's not easy to do at LTV.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that are not easy to do at LTV. But I mean, it's all about honesty again, but not honesty in the context that we used to hear about, you know, politicians when they do that and say honesty. It's more submitting yourself. You go to the studio and you say, this is a demanding reality now. I'm not here because I want to have a cup of coffee and escape from my girlfriend. I'm here to work. Now, when you go there, what does it mean that the reality demands an unfolding from the inside of you? You know, that means something needs to happen. By the time you leave the studio, you need to look back and say, well, that's how much wasn't there before I came this time to the studio. It's really a powerful reality. Long before fame and success and delivering message, that you yourself and you in the studio is really demanding reality. It's mixed with a lot of joy, but if you can what's the thing, verbalize it in your mind, if you can you know, logicalize it in your mind, you know, it's got to have the feeling, the passion, the logicalization.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're searching for words, but this is your expression.
Yes,
these are your words.
Definitely. And when you see so many different things, then suddenly the picture comes together. You say, wait a second, this is no pattern here. You have to think about that separately from that, and that separately from that. There's no like, let's put 4 canvases together and create, you know, a thing, and then it will be 4 different ones. No, each one has a mind of its own, a timing of the day, and a sensation of a body, you know, each completely that's identifying with that piece. So it coexists because it comes from that attitude, but in the same token you can go around and say, I might as well say 35 artists are showing their work here now. I guess this piece is just...
Oh, it's magnificent.
It's all about love, man. Really, a pure manifestation of love, that's what I can say. And...
it flows.
Yes, it does. And it agrees with me. And it was tougher than it seems to make, because there are personal choices, you know, more intimate, you know.
They're rivers of color.
Yeah, and managing not to lose yourself in the process. But you can see it in others, like, for example, here I made a mistake in my eyes, you know. One night I was a little tired, I started writing with a black marker, and later on I just regretted it. I usually don't regret anything, but here, but then he said, this is your punishment. You're going to show it to the whole world how awful it is.
Wow. Well, people speak of automatic writing where they just sit and some spirit takes them over. Was that what we're seeing here?
No, I'm a writer and I really take my writing seriously, but here it was just like, forget about it, you know. But I guess it meant to be, and since I claim all the time it is what it is, so I'm not the last one who's going to say it's not going to be on the wall.
Wow, that's amazing.
Actually, this is the only piece that I made in Jerusalem, right here on the wall. And that's called Look Out, He's Not Dangerous. and I have a series of 8 here that are called "Look Out, He's Not Dangerous." And that was a story that something that happened to me visiting my friend at the hospital, and they brought a patient there, and suddenly I saw something, and I said, my God, he's supposed to be dangerous because people are holding him, but he's not. So then it came to my mind. I said, look out, he's not dangerous.
It's amazing. I mean, the difference between the pieces and the expression, is it in your mind before you do it, or does it come about when paint is on canvas?
In these cases, the 7 that I had, yes, I have a concept of that idea. You can see it here, for example, if you were to go all the way to that green piece there, to your left, the green, that's also one of the series, Look Out, He's Not Dangerous. But I was in a different mood. I allowed it to be gentler, even though the subject matter is very harsh. But I allowed myself to be there and to feel comfortable with it.
But it's an expression of the human form.
Yes, yes, also. But to your right, for example, if you turn to your right, this one, the second from the right, you'll see that it's the same subject matter, but it's more lyrical. It's more like, in a way, it's a different arena.
And this one to the left here, this is amazing. I mean, let's reflect on this for a moment.
This is called gentleness. I don't know, this is showing off that I know what to do with sealers and texture.
Well, there's texture and there's depth to the expression. It's three-dimensional.
Yes, yes, and naive. I like being there. I like exploring more in that, being adamant still, but coming up with a strong result. As a by the way thing, but boom, it's pumping. And you can see it in many. Like, for example, this is actually a very good piece that you see is also, and I was in a time where I was in those weeks that I created all these pieces here. When I did this one, there was something, sprinkling on the top of my head. It wasn't easy, but enjoyable, really enjoyable. And in the same token, you see this piece here, the gold and the black. That's a piece, for example, that my next show is going to be, 40 square pieces like this. It's called minimizing. And it's a technique that I choose now about things that I did years ago, and I reflect. And I close my eyes and I come back with those compositions. And that's the first of them.
Well, this is striking. The black, the gold.
It's amazing how easy
white.
It came to me. You won't believe it.
Striking.
You won't believe how easy it was to me. It was really easy, really.
And I must say, I've never seen any work with that type of medium that you've created with this.
And that's pretty commercial, if you look closely. And to the left of it is another one of the series of Look Out, He's Not Dangerous.
Yeah.
I have to laugh when I say that, Look Out, He's Not Dangerous. And there is something in between that belongs to the time where you go to the grocery store to buy your cheese,
Striking composition on this piece called
Yes.
My Time Off.
My time off, yes, and and that goes to show you that it was really my time off that I did that. So the detachment brought me to be connected to it, and it really is. I say detachment and then connection. So detach, connect, and I can do something as vibrant as this and live in peace with this crazy, unacceptable. Sometimes this is unacceptable to me, but
it seems if this is a human form, there's a lot happening in this person's heart.
yes, but also you see there's a simple pattern that's background in most of the composition. But I'm privileged to think about it only after the fact. Otherwise I won't be able to do it. So, and you can see in many of those, especially the collages there, that there is an attempt to, find out that you did well after the fact. It's okay, good job, man.
You have such a joy in what you're doing.
Yes.
But it must be a torture to get out the art and to be there and to bring the creativity.
And for example, this is called timeout. As my what was the other one? A resting point or something. The same thing is that if I was to think about the things that I think about usually before or after, I wouldn't be able to do that. It's just acceptance in the air that you say, okay, like I said, you go into the studio, then what? You can't putz around. You go in the studio for one reason, to make art, to create art. So that's what I keep in mind. For example, this is the same as the most difficult piece that I showed you. Again, I was surprised that I got what I wanted. Now you have to live with it. I mean, can you show it? And you know what I mean? Because this is like genius and also making a fool of yourself. In the same token, I'm very realistic in how this world presents itself to me, you know, in a way. And I don't exclude the fact that this might be, wait a second, you might think very deeply about what it really means, you know.
But it speaks to the contrast of what you do as an artist, because this is a medium of white with different black touches, minimal black touches, but it also draws you in. There's an expression coming from its depth.
And even the title, if you see, I told you so twice. So there's a point here in because using something familiar, I told you so, and then adding a twist twice is something in the verbal aspect that's matching the actual the vision. And this is the last one in the series of look out, he's not dangerous.
Oh, I know you laugh when you hear that. Look out, he's not dangerous.
Yes, and so in a way, maybe there's one more there, but this is like, you know, okay, I can conclude with some fiery, happy, because it's fiery, but it's happy, you know. There's still hope.
There's a lot to be said in that title.
Yes. So, and there's just a few in the small room that we can look and...
We're in Ashwaugh Hall with... How long will your show be here?
This is just for the weekend, unfortunately, but, you know...
But you do have a website so that our viewers... You know, we have worldwide viewers. 2.5 million watch VVH on the web stream. And it is
HaimMizrahi.com. So.
Excellent. Excellent. Haim, this person is pointing...
Yes, to the bathroom. And it's called... if I could only hold it long enough. To be foolish a little bit and happy. And but it's funny, if you see this piece there, it's called the Nuclear Age with Hope. I did a few of them, and this is the smallest replica, and I think that I managed to do a post-Cold War piece, you know.
Well, you've been quite verbal about the war and what's been happening, and you're a very politically active person. And has this period that the world is in, has it influenced your painting in a way?
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. And you know what? I don't bother to think about it too much because I'm sure it does. And because I see the whole picture and I see how many things influence me. My past, my present here in East Hampton, the common sense between Jerusalem and East Hampton, how everything falls in place. And having the Shimizu brothers makes sense a lot also. It's like a chunk of life, the coherence, you know, so much needed for our sanity, you know. And then again, going back to sanity, that complex process really is what increasing our chances of survival. You know, mental coherence survival, not necessarily only body. Really, and that's what we need to not forget, because if you won't have that, you can be the best in the world, nothing's going to happen. You got to be together, you got to be coherent.
Well, what I know about you from our friendship, the years of watching the Hello, Hello show, you don't take anything for granted, and you don't take this world for granted, and you don't take life for granted, and you celebrate every moment, and you live life to the fullest, and your passion is expressed in your art. Your outrage is expressed in your art also.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's really... then again, this kind of display of love, really, because I know you love me. You don't just praise me as a person, as a human being. That's food for that... It's fuel for the process that I'm engaged in. And really, there's sometimes words are really very poor in their ability to deliver a sensation, to tell you really what I'm involved in, to be where I am or to get to where I want to go. But this display of love is crucial in the fueling.
We see it.
And that's why you see it now. When I go to the studio, I'll remember that. Those vibrations are not going to go away.
I'm with John Van Gorjevsky. John, what a pleasure to meet you
And a pleasure to meet you also.
You're a fan of Haim's, aren't you?
A fan. I'm not only a fan, I'm trying to give him as much support as we can. I mean, Haim is one of the most interesting people from an artistic point of view that I've ever met. Talk about creativity. He's a painter. He's a poet. He's a writer. He's a musician. I mean, I call him the true Renaissance man. And this is the way that we're trying to get the name across and brand Haim for the kind of person that should be who he is.
His biography.
Yes.
And the depth of this man is something that...
He's got an incredible background. I mean, to come from Israel and settle here, and I mean, he's shown his work in Jerusalem, which is his other home, and also in East Hampton. I love being here. I love working with Haim, and I only wish him the best, and we will take him a long way, and he deserves it.
Thank you. Every great artist needs a patron of the arts, and Carol Metkovsky.
Yes.
Carol, you love the art of Haim Mizrahi. How long have you been purchasing his work?
Well, I can tell you the story of how it started. My husband Joel and I hired Haim to paint our house, and he then invited us to a show at Ashwaugh Hall. And because we collect and we have a lot of paintings, he thought we would be interested. Little did we know that they were his paintings, and we loved them. We loved them, and we have bought many of his paintings, and our house is postmodern and has big walls, and so we have lots of Haim stuff, and we think he's terrific. He's got lots of pep, and he's a good poet and a good musician and a good person, and we've enjoyed knowing him.
Well, I think you're on to someone who, in our estimation, you know, this is a neighborhood here in Springs in East Hampton where Jackson Pollock lived.
Well, of course, many think of the paintings that hung here. That's right.
And of course, the Koenig is part of this neighborhood.
That's right. They all were here. They all showed their paintings here.
And there was a time when Jackson Pollock would trade a painting for, you know, for a bill at a local deli.
Lucky, yes, I know that.
Right. Well, those days are over, but these are the days when Haim is part of this community, and he really stands out, doesn't he?
Well, I agree. I think he's a wonderful artist. I think he has a lot of creativity, and he's always coming up with something new. I love these wooden blocks. We have some of them at home, and we use them in different ways. We have them coming up behind a couch. We have them in bookshelves. We have them on the floor coming up. We have them geometrically balanced. They're fun. So,
Carol Metkovsky, what a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Nice to meet you, and I look forward to the day when we can all say, I knew Haim when.
Thank you, Haim. That was amazing. This show is called Embedded, and
that's actually the kind of imprint that it leaves, you know, that already did that you know, it did its number on me. So hopefully it will stretch further to you know, to kind of leave something within the spectator that leaves from here. We'll be embedded within that kind of what happened here tonight and the good feelings. You know, as I mentioned a lot in my morning show, you know, we cannot, nothing can result in a negative fashion when you get engaged in the creative process. It's a surety for the good energy, and that's why our kids should be introduced to either a musical instrument or canvas. I mean, nothing wrong ever can happen on the result, on the behalf of that engagement. So, you know, it's simple, really.
Thank you. Well, simple for you, not for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. Thank you, and to you too.